Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. My name's Destiny and I do book things here, and today I thought we would do my December wrap up. So I'm going to catch you up on all the books I've read in December, and yeah, so I'm gonna go from the bottom to the top. I ended up finishing the year with 102 books. I am so proud of that number. My goal from the first of the year was only 50, so I bested that I doubled that, and that's a really cool thing to say. I owe that all to Scribd, to be honest, because I read so many good books via Scribd that it's perfect. But I thought I would give y'all a short wrap up. Like I said, I read 102 books. It is actually January the 1st at 10 a.m. when I'm filming this, so I have one book for the new year already finished. We're gonna start there. So the first one for the new year I finished was Reclusion by Blake Crouch. I literally finished this right before I hit record on this video. I love this so much. It is a mindfuck. I will say heavy trigger warnings for suicide, mental health, addiction, and Alzheimer's. I didn't know I needed to throw the Alzheimer's trigger warning in there until Books and Lala talked about losing someone to Alzheimer's and dementia and watching them slowly fade away. And them not remembering who you are and how painful that is. So anytime I run into a book that has Alzheimer's or dementia or chronic illness, I will go ahead and do that trigger warning just because I want you to be able to know what you're going into. But the biggest trigger warning for this is suicide. So if you do not like reading about it, you don't like it even mentioned at all, this is not the book for you. Just saying. If you've never heard of this book, I went into it really blind, and I really loved that. Kind of like I did with Crave and loved Crave because I went into it so blind. This follows two perspectives, Barry and Helena. Barry is a cop in New York. He is an alcoholic. He spends his days more drunk than more than sober, and the first section he gets called out to a jumper from the 44th floor of a building, and he meets Anne. Anne has FMS, false memory syndrome, where she has vivid memories of having a son, having a husband, being happy, her giving birth to her son. She remembers all of it. She remembers that her husband's first wife jumped off the same building, same floor and everything. And he wasn't there he wasn't there to prevent it, and he always regretted that he could not stop her from jumping, and none of it happened. And so she went to see her husband, or who would have been her husband in this false memory, and he acts like she's crazy and he's never met her before, and it kind of drops her off the deep end, and Barry's trying to save her, and she ends up going ahead and taking her own life. And so then you flip to Helena, in 2007. She is working for Stanford. Her mother has, I want to say Alzheimer's, but it may be dementia now that I'm thinking about it. Her mother is losing her memory due to the chronic illness, and she is looking for a way to save her mother's memories and give them back to her, essentially. And she is brain will work in a second. She is approached by a man saying, hey, if you'll come work for my boss, we will give you an unlimited amount of budget to do what you want. And she's like, okay, who's your boss? You don't find out his name, but Helena agrees. And your story takes off from there. It's so good. I did not expect to love this as much as I did. I am giving it 5 stars. It was beautifully written, very smart in the way it was written too. There's a couple quotes, all the little orange tabs are quotes that I absolutely loved. It shifted my perspective on time. That's all I'll say, but I absolutely love this. Next, which I don't want to have in my hands, is Map of Days by Ransom Riggs. This is the 4th installment of the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. I finished it. It was magical and wonderful and everything your girl needed in a book. I won't give you the synopsis of the first one just yet because I want to let you know that I did read Library of Souls this month too. So I read the 3rd and 4th. It follows Jacob. Jacob, you meet him in the first one after his grandfather passes, and his grandfather has all these weird pictures in his hope chest, and like Jacob always thought they were fake and everything. His grandfather had told him at one time that these are real people, these were real children I lived with and everything. Jacob doesn't believe him. When his grandfather's dying, he finds him right before he passes, and he tells him, you need to go to this little island in Wales. Go there. Just go there. And he's like, what the hell? And so he convinces his parents to let him go, or for his father to take him there as closure. Like, his parents were like, okay, clearly old man was crazy. The kid's crazy too. Let's just go give him some closure. He needs closure. That's all this is. And so Jacob ends up in this little town in Wales and actually finds Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. And he meets all of his grandfather's friends who remember his grandfather and like it was yesterday. None of them have aged. They all look the same as they did in photos because they were in a loop. Miss Peregrine keeps a loop going, and life kind of takes off from there. They're fighting against Hologhast and Whites. Whites are peculiar people who were Hologhast at one time and have consumed so many peculiar children and peculiar people that they become actual people again. And you're not sure what the Whites want at that point, but you know that they're fighting for something. And so Jacob takes off from there. I am holding up the 3rd one. What's unique about these books is that I'm trying to find a picture that won't. I don't want to give you a spoiler. Hold on. Okay, that didn't give you too much spoiler. There's pictures of the actual pictures that they're discussing. The people that bring into the story are in here. So if I remember correctly, when I did my first research for the first one, Ransom Riggs found all these photos in his grandfather's attic or his father's attic, and decided to write a narrative around them. And now he gets donated different old-timey pictures from people's collections and use it to write his books. I absolutely love these. I gave this one 4 stars, and then Map of Days I gave 5. It is my favorite out of the series so far. I cannot wait to see where it goes. I'm super, super excited for it. The next one I read was Night of the Mannequins by... Hold on, I just want to make sure I have the author right. Stephen Graham Jones. Guys, I gave this 2 stars. It was very short. That's why I picked it up. It was like maybe an hour when I read it on triple speed, either triple or double speed. But it has to do with mental health. It follows a kid who believes that the mannequin that him and his 4 friends played with as children are coming to kill them. And he starts murdering his friends before the mannequin can do it for him. That's literally the whole thing. It's set in Texas. It's actually set in Rockwall. So he talks about the lake and like going to the lake and the mannequin coming out of the lake. And like, it was a vivid picture for me because every time I go see my better half, I drive across that lake. Like, I drive through Rockwall all the time on my way to see her. So it was very vivid pictures, but honestly, it was such a clusterfuck. I did not enjoy it. I'm happy it was really short because if it had been any longer, I probably would have DNF'd it. I gave it 2 stars. That's really all I have to say. The next one I finished was Anyway the Wind Blows by Elin Harris. I love this. I gave it 5 stars. This series is a continuation sort of The Invisible Life. It follows Basil and Yancey. You do meet both of them in the Invisible Life series. And they were due to be married. The wedding got called off at the last minute, and you kind of find out throughout this book and the series of why their marriage got called off and what happened there. I absolutely love this. I gave it 5 stars. I would honestly read anything Mr. Harris wrote. He has passed, but if he was still alive today writing, I would pick up every book he has, and I plan on reading all of his books because I just love his writing style. It's like, it's just an easy to read, pick up book for me. It doesn't take a lot of brain power. Not that that's bad, but sometimes you want a palate cleanser book. You want a book that you don't have to sit and like really focus to understand the timeline and understand where things are going. You just want a book, you want to read a story, enjoy said story, and go on. And that's what these are, and I love them so much. The next one I don't have in my hands, but that is Sawkill Girls by Claire LeGrand. I keep looking at my, if you're wondering why I'm looking down, I'm looking at my book journal. Yes, Sawkill Girls by Claire LeGrand. Guys, this one was really, really good. If she decided to write another one, I definitely would read it. I gave it 5 stars. This follows Marin. Yeah. Marin, and she and her family moved to Sawkill to be Val's mother's housekeepers. Girls are going missing. They've been going missing for years. Zoe is the daughter of the police chief. She's been trying to figure out where these girls are going, what's happening to them, where, you know, what happened to them. And then you have Val, who's the daughter of the rich lady in town. And so now you're trying to figure out what's going on, what happened, and what happened to these girls. It is fantastical in a way, but I loved it. I really, really, truly loved it. It was the last one I read that's kind of like this, that was like a, not really historical, but like a fictional, literary fiction. It's not, I wouldn't say it's fantasy because there's not that fantastical elements to it, but there is some paranormal crap going on. Next, I read Dowry of Blood, and I don't have the author here. I apologize. I will put it by my head. It was so good. It was beautifully written. It was like a love letter to my brain. It's very lyrical in the way it's written, and I absolutely loved it. So this one follows, I believe it's Dracula's wives. You don't know though, because she never names him. He is a vampire who has lived a long time. I'm assuming it's Dracula. I think in the synopsis it actually tells you it's Dracula. It follows his wives, and she is writing him a letter after she has murdered him. You find that out in the first page. Like, she murdered him. And you're finding out what happened and what led to his murder and her murdering him. It was so good. It was a love letter. It was beautiful. It was so well written. If you've not picked this one up, I highly, highly recommend. It has to be one of my favorites as far as the writing goes. Next, I finished... You gone? Okay. I finished Into the Drowning Deep by Maya Grant. This was so much fun. It has killer mermaids. So this, you're following Tori. Tori is a marine biologist, for lack of a better term. And Tori's sister, I want to say, I'm looking at it, I'm trying to remember. It tells you, I thought, when the first one goes out. Yes, I think it's 3 years. Am I right? No. Anyways, Tori's sister goes out with expedition to make a mockumentary. So, they are basically making a mockumentary about finding mermaids and all this in the marine. Oh, I can't think. Yeah, I'm right. Marina Trench. And when they do that, they actually stumble upon actual mermaids. And the whole ship, they do get footage, like camera footage from the ship. That's how they know what happened. But everyone on the ship is dead. Everyone is gone. Everyone's dead. The ship is just found floating. The world does not believe this actually happened. They really truly believe that it is a hoax, that it is a gimmick that this entertainment company has done. So now, some years later, Tori has been out to prove that mermaids really killed her sister, that they are real, that is what murdered her sister, and the entertainment company, as a last-ditch effort, sends another research vessel out there to see if they can actually get proof of mermaids, and shit starts going down. Little to say, they do get proof. Okay, they do get proof. And people start dying, and it is like reading a horror movie, and I loved it so much. At some points, I could not read this at night. It took me forever to read this. I think it took me a month to physically read this, but it was totally worth it. I absolutely loved it. I cannot wait to pick up something else that she's written. So I could say this fun. It's fun. If you have ever heard of the Wayward Children series, she actually wrote it too. And there's a couple quotes in here, which I didn't do the upper. Nope, I didn't do the upper quotes to tell me where it is. I think I just found it. Hold on, did I find it? Yes. Okay. So I have read all the Wayward Children at this point. This book came out before the Wayward Children series. And there's a couple quotes here that just, honestly, I have highlighted and like circled because it made me think of the Wayward Children. I kind of see where she got the idea for that one while writing this book. The quote is, "This is not where she belonged. This had never been where she belonged. Humanity had chosen land over the sea a millennia ago, and sometimes when she was letting her mind wander, when she was romanticizing what she did and how she did it, she thought the sea still held a grudge. Breakups were never easy, and while humanity was hot and fast and had plenty of time to get over it, the oceans were deep and slow. For them, all the change had happened only yesterday. The sea did not forgive, and they did not welcome their wayward children home." It was beautiful. Just beautiful. Like, I love this so much. If you have not picked this up, I highly recommend. I know it's a almost 500-page book, $4.40. It's a 440-page book, but it's worth every page. And it does have a bit of slice of life in it, and I know that's not everybody's cup of tea. It does have slice of life in it where at some points there's not really much action happening. You're kind of just with the characters as they're trying to process and deal with what has happened. But there's just enough, there's a good ratio between action and non that it doesn't feel like it's dragging on those parts. Next, I finished The Little Book of Hygge by Mark. I'm not even going to try to say it. I want to say it's Viking. I know in German the W is a V, but I could be wrong. I'm not 100% sure. This was so good. It's just a little book about the Danish tradition of hygge. Hygge is coziness, is basically the best way to describe it. And it's just so good. If you are neurospicy or neurodivergent, so ADHD, autism, anything like that, I highly recommend giving this a read. It has helped me understand why I don't like bright lights. I don't like overhead lights. They give me a headache and it messes with my brain. At work, I actually have 2 lamps in my office, so I don't have to turn the overhead lights on. And like it's just a thing that I have done. My house, I have lamps everywhere, or I have the windows open so that I don't have to have bright lights, and this just made my brain happy. I don't usually rate my nonfiction, so I think I did rate it on Storygraph. I think I gave it 5 stars, but it was so good. And then I finished, I think I have 4 more, right? Yep, I got 4 more for you. So next, I finished Colleen Hoover's All Your Perfects. I'm not going to go into too much detail on these because I did talk them through with you before in my catch-up video, but I ended up giving this 4 stars. I thought it was beautifully done. It does show the struggle that you go through in a marriage and how you can bring it back, and how key communication is, because there is miscommunication in this book, and no one says what they need to say, and that's part of it. The next one I gave 5 stars, and that is This River Has Teeth by Erica Waters. I love this so much. The symbolism in it is beautiful. The way that it is written is just, it's like candy for your brain. It's so good. It has like one of the most interesting openings I've ever read. It has one of the most interesting concepts I've ever heard of. But if you want the full synopsis and everything, go back and I'll link it up of my catch-up video and you can watch that. Next, I finished Horrid, and I gave it 5 stars. It is literary fiction is the best way I can put it. It does have like a paranormal thing, but it does leave you wondering, is it a ghost? Is she crazy? Or what the hell is really going on here? And it's the good, it's a good, what the hell is going on here? Not a, what the fuck did I just read? Night of the Mannequins was a, what the fuck did I just read? This is a, what the hell is going on here? And like, I really want to go back and deep dive and like highlight and just piece it all together. And I don't think I'm going to get an answer even if I did that. And I'm okay with that. I'm happy with that. Okay. The first book I finished for December, and the last one we're going to talk about, is The Four Winds by Kristin Hannah. My best friend, she had asked a couple of her co-workers to suggest books to her that they loved in their favorite genre, and The Four Winds just happened to be one that she was suggested. And we were talking on the phone, FaceTiming, and she was like showing me all the books she had bought for this. And I was like, you know what? My library has that one available. Do you want to read it together? And she's like, yes, let's do it. And so we did. And I actually really enjoyed it. I'm giving it 4 stars. We were talking about it the other night because she still has not finished it yet. And she was talking about how she's having some trouble finishing it because it's so depressing. And I was like, that's kind of the point though. No, going into this one is about the Great Depression in the Dust Bowl, and in the thick of it, you're in the middle of it with her. You are depressed just like she is. You do not see, this is a very bleak outlook on life. Like, there's no real like happy moments. And I think if Kristin Hannah had put a happy moment in there, if she had given our main character this overreaching hope, joy, and like optimism, I would have found it fake. The way she writes it to be so bleak and so soul-wrenching makes it feel like you're there with her. And if it didn't have that, you wouldn't feel that way. And I loved it. I honestly did. Historical fiction's not my thing. And I still love this. I ended up giving it 5 stars because it was so well done that it deserved all 5 of those stars. But yeah, that's what I read this month. I just wanted to go ahead and get my wrap up. I will see you on my next one. The next video you will see from me is probably going to be my January TBR. I have some things in the works for this year, and I'm really excited for. So I'll see you on my next one. Bye, guys.